Good evening. My name is Odie Hawkins, and this afternoon we're going to continue on this particular Monday afternoon. We're going to continue where we started off last Monday because our scene was somewhat interrupted by our friend the gardener doing his work. Zola, can I get you to join me here?
Why, certainly, Odie Hawkins. I'd be glad to join you.
This is Zola Salena-Hawkins, who is my wife and my co. And it's essentially the word. I really mean it. Here's to you, Co.
Here's to you.
Matter of fact, I might rename you
Co.
Co.
I don't think so.
We have a lot of fun. Anyway, for those who've been following this program, what it's about is to try to make an effort to acquaint a larger audience with the 38, 40 books,
Yes.
40 published books I have. I've published enough for friends of mine to label me the underground master, possibly because you haven't heard of me. And
Some of you haven't heard it.
so I'm trying to correct that. We're trying to do that in a homespun sort of way. We had the opportunity to take advantage of, or rather they had the opportunity to take advantage of us by establishing some wild and crazy advertising campaign that would only cost
$2,000 to $5,000.
Well, let's say
$10,000.
$1,000 million.
Yeah, right.
So it may as well be $1,000 million.
Yes, we'll do a professional video, blah, blah, blah. But before we continue, why don't you take time, get some libation,
Oh,
a little
libations.
snack or something? Yes.
Hi, Cole.
Oh, yeah. And enjoy this.
We're being hydrated because it's very, very warm in Long Beach this afternoon. And before we get into this, I'd like to say something about the book without giving you all of the grim details that go into the making of almost any book, especially if you're trying to make an effort to do a reasonably decent outline. This particular one that I started on last week, pardon me for being redundant. If you were here for part of this, bear with me. Shackles Across Time is what the book is called. The cover drawing was done by Zola Salena-Hawkins, which is one of the reasons, like I said, why I call her Co. As you can see, there's a chain going across the middle of Africa, and these European flags, which indicate former colonial powers, who are not so formal. The French, for example, are still all over Mali and Senegal and Gabon.
And in the middle is a grandfather clock with a bleeding heart and going tick-tock, tick-tock.
Things could be better. I had this notion about what the slave trade meant to West Africa. That was my initial thought about this. You know, we know about, well, unless your book has been taken from your public library, you might know something about the 1619 Project or some other books that have focused on the historical effects of slave, I hate to say slave trade, slave business. It was a business. They keep saying slave trade. Like, what does anybody trade except the Europeans traded us for something? So I went to Ghana, West Africa in 1992 and wound up staying for 3 years. I think I had a 30-day visa or something. And I had the good fortune to become friends with a man named Kojo Yanka, Mr. Kojo Yanka. He was the director of the Ghana Institute of Journalism at the time, and he wanted to do a Ghanaian West African detective stories.
Right.
I think he's a detective fan. He didn't want to have wild shoot 'em ups and a lot of sex and
But
this and that.
something new for the Ghanaian TV.
Ghanaian TV. Yeah, I mean, it's very conservative.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like now, but in 1992, 93, 94, 95, it was very conservative. Television went off at 9 o'clock.
It was conservative when we were there.
Okay.
So,
Because it meant that you can't watch TV until the late show comes on. You have to get up to go to work tomorrow.
yes, yes.
So, Kojo engaged me. He was the director of the Ghana Institute of Journalism at the time, and he had ambitions. Matter of fact, he became later a representative of the Eastern region. A representative, he would be like a senator. Later, he became the information officer for the Jerry Warlins for the president. He became
Very nice person who you can talk to.
Oh yeah.
He and his
yeah.
wife, wonderful people. Couldn't ask for better.
He was not at all ever. I had no idea what his family was like. His brother had me write some articles for a magazine. He started calling you Uru. And another brother named Quartey. They were all, really upstanding members of the Ghanaian community. Kojo, of course, was the outstanding one because he had the highest profile. Anyway, when he engaged me to do the outline, it's called a Bible. You create a Bible for a show, which establishes the number of characters that's going to be in the show, the scene, the location of the place, and so forth. Just generally painting the exterior and then the interior.
So the Bible's different than the treatment? Or very
Yeah,
similar?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the treatment is like this. I have an idea. We've done this with each other. You float an idea at me and say, hey, Odie, why don't you do this? Why don't you sit at the kitchen table and talk about the books you've written? And so I asked you, well, okay, Zola, give me a treatment.
Okay.
And you write down your ideas in a more specific kind of way.
All right.
I look at it and I said, okay, since you've done that, why don't you do a Bible?
Okay. Okay.
Which
Gotcha.
is established who the characters would be, what the main theme of the show would be, and so forth and so on.
Gotcha.
So we wind up getting to the final outline. Then you wind up with the gist of what will amount to being the first scripts.
Okay. Okay. Paul.
So we did that. We went through the whole process, like she said. We met Kojo in 2013, 2014 when we went to Ghana, and he had us come to his beach house and his lovely wife, Nana. Mr. Guy, he has several books out.
Yes. Yeah. Look for Kojo Yanka.
Kojo Yanka, Yankah.
Especially
Yanka.
the book From Jamestown to Jamestown.
From Jamestown to
Yes.
Jamestown.
Check that out. Okay.
There's a section in Accra, Ghana, where I live, to the north of Accra, a section that is called Jamestown. And it's a very old, well, I hope it's better now, but it was kind of a disreputable part of the
It seemed like they were trying to eliminate it too at one time, that they were
I think
trying
so,
to
yeah.
swipe it away, just like, throughout various countries where they're pushing the homeless into oblivion.
It was a very poor section of town. And despite the fact that they were poor and some people were reputed to be criminals and crooks and so forth, I went there a number of times and I never felt really in danger or anything. Matter of fact, in 1992 they had something called a Remembrance Festival, and it dealt with what Ghanaians were doing to asking for relief for what their ancestors had done in the slave trade.
Okay.
It's a very moving thing. They did it on a big soccer field.
Wow, okay.
They poured libations. They made offerings. I remember a bull that got loose and looked like he was going to do us all in,
Right.
but they did that.
Mhm.
The book, going back to the reasons for I initially intended to be there, I was never away from my research very far, no matter what else I did. In addition to everything else, I wound up establishing a capoeira group.
Yes.
For those who don't know what capoeira is, it's an African Brazilian martial art. It's a dancing martial art that has songs and has instrumentation behind it. The berimbau, the pandeiro, the agogo.
And a martial art where you play, you don't intentionally hurt your partner. So if you hurt the partner, who are you going to play with?
We're going to play with. So I wound up with a young group. It started off with maybe 8, 10 people, got up to about 25. And when I left some very good young friends. Some of them went on to do other things. I've mentioned, for example, one of the guys, Eddie, Fast Eddie I call him because he was very quick moving.
Back in the day, right? Who is now?
Pastor Edwin O'Forty Bar.
Yes.
Pastor
Yes.
Eddie O'Forty.
Exceptional voice and also a wonderful person.
Wonderful
has a
person.
wonderful family too.
When you go to a place like Ghana, I think it's very easy to make friends. It's very easy to make friends because the people are
Very warm and
they always talk about. They seem to be the warmest people in West Africa. Somebody says, okay, don't go to Cote d'Ivoire because they have a French background. They speak French and they're kind of haughty. Don't go to Gabon. They speak French and they're a little bit standoffish. Ghana is in the middle of three French-speaking countries. There's Cote d'Ivoire to the north, Burkina Faso to the east, and Gabon and Togo to the south. And it's the only English-speaking country in that region, and they refuse to speak anything other than English.
this is good.
I've had people talk about going to neighboring countries where they speak French. So, well, did you learn French? And go, no.
Yeah. No,
When they want to talk to me, they have to speak English.
And the thing is, even when we stayed at a place called the Acacia Lodge, and it was the owner, when we were leaving, she bought me a dress and Odie, I think it was 2 shirts.
Yeah.
You know, just generosity of her heart. And we also had the ability to interact with the staff there, you know. We entice some of them to come out and exercise with us. And it was really a wonderful stay.
That was, we're getting a little bit away from the story,
Right.
but it's part of the story because when we went to the Acacia Lodge, which is an area of Accra called Hatsu, when we went there, the people were just simply hotel employees. And of course, we had a schedule we try to stick to, which was to do a little exercise in the morning, maybe a little bit of the capoeira, jinga, a little bit of tai chi. And the staff caught it, and they started coming out. Mrs. Owusu, Mrs. Elizabeth Owusu, gave them permission to come.
They came out during their break time.
In addition, that some of the neighboring people managed to get a look at this lady here doing wind sprints up and down the front of the hotel.
You know, gotta maintain.
And they came to her. If we had stayed much longer, we would have started an Olympic
track
meet
Yes.
because they were really, you know, quite impressed by that. The people that I got to know, I like to mention their names because they were so helpful in my study of what it is that I wanted to find out. Nana Ochere Bekoin II. Nana is a traditional ruler of an area called Abori in Sachi. There was, I mentioned Edwin O'Foy Bar, there was Betty Cote and her sister Amelia. There was Susan Amagashi, who lived in Laboni, who was a wonderful person. She's in England now, and she's having health issues which she's overcoming. There was Pani, There was a maid who spoke 7 or 8 languages named Grace Holenhall. She was helpful in many ways. All of the members of the Osu, we call ourselves the Osu Capoeira group, Aziji, Antoinette, Cote, and all the friends I left behind in Laboni, Kanda, Adabraka. Rama Brew. Yes. Rama Brew, who was Susan Namagashi's good friend. Anyway, over the period of time, I was able to make those good friends, and they were able to give me information about what I want to know about. I was asked to, at one point, to give a little talk at the University of Ghana. It's up in an area called Legon. And I went, maybe there was, I don't know, 300 students there. And I started off by asking if could anybody remember a relative, because Africans in general have really great ancestral oral history. Right. They can tell you who their great-great-grandmother was on their mother's side or something. I asked if anybody could give me the name or the circumstances of what happened to a relative of theirs who was enslaved, who was taken into bondage and shipped off. Not a hand was raised, not a person spoke up. And I was a little bit surprised. Anyway, I gave my presentation explaining that that was one of my reasons for being in Ghana. And we had a pleasant chit-chat. And afterwards, I spoke to Professor Opoku to ask him about why it was nobody could admit that they had relatives who were taken away into slavery. And he made the observation that it was a matter of shame for them that they would admit such a thing, so they couldn't do it. These were young people, progressives. And anyway, the one person that I did get the information I wanted was from a lady named Amelia Cote. And she said, oh yes, my great-great-grandmother was sold for a bag, 50-pound bag of sugar. They had one girl too many, since girls are not thought to be as important as boys.
Yes, of course.
Chauvinism all over the world.
All over the world, yes. Same old story. Anyway, getting back to Shackles Across Time, could you give us maybe a chapter?
I'd be more than happy to give you a chapter. This writer, I'm using the writer as an alternative. I think his name is Chester Simmons.
Yes.
He goes and he runs up some dark alleys, and then he finds seeing a light somewhere along the way, and a group of people in America. The little catchy trick that I'm trying to use is that there may have been a slave trader named Quartey who sold all the members of one family except for an old man. And the old man put a curse on Mr. Quartey for having sold members of his family. And the curse, the book originally was called The Curse. The curse was that every third member of the slave trader's family would be doomed to have some horrible disease or be in some way disfigured or have something happen to him that was terrible.
Before you go into the reading, let me share the fact that I remember reading the original handwritten
is there another way?
Draft, okay, yes, okay, because you write all the books by hand and pen in hand. And some of them were written while you had malaria, so they were smudged with sweat. And I was like, wow, it was such an intense, even just holding the manuscript that was originally written in Africa and completed here. It's just...
Well, you know what? I was... hopefully, you will never have malaria. If you hear about it, run the other way. But it is horrible. It's like having the flu 3 times over, and you can sweat and at the same time feel like you're freezing. It distorts your eyesight. It can take your hearing away. It's a terrible thing. And it's caused by a female mosquito of a certain type.
Yes.
In any case, I wanted to have a writer find out about some of the descendants of the people who have been cursed. As a matter of fact, they wound up hooking up, and he's going to go to West Africa to follow the story and to see whether or not they could ameliorate the curse. Could they do away with it in some kind of way?
And they found out that there was obviously a curse or something going on, because every third child, there was a problem. They did the DNA, and through computer work in the family, they figured out there's a problem here.
And since they're using modern technology to find out, it is specific and definite. So Chester L. Simmons goes to West Africa and winds up meeting some members of the slave traders' family. Some of the slave traders' family had been taken into slavery and shipped away themselves to places like Brazil, Jamaica, and so on. So it's a Pan-African story, and what I'm about to read at random is some of what is happening. Well, how about this? 3 in the afternoon, dinner at the country kitchen. The country kitchen is one of her favorite restaurants in Accra.
I miss it.
The place looks like a large village hut with a thatched roof. I mean, it seats about maybe 100, and the sides are open. And on a very warm day, it's a beautiful, breezy place to be in.
The aromas.
The aromas, and of course, West African cooking. I'm talking about that peanut sauce and anyways, I'm making myself.
And the beer.
Oh my God.
The only place in the world where I like beer.
This is a teetotaler.
Yes.
But they were serving a nice cold bottle of something called club beer. Club was bought by, ABC. Lager was bought by Club, and not a bad taste was lost at all. When I say beer, one thing what people will tell you, if you go to West Africa, the water supply might not be the safest in the world, but beer is pasteurized, so you feel safe about it. And you find, I used to get a big kick out of seeing tourists come to the country kitchen, and somebody would say, well, she doesn't drink. He said, well, beer is not drinking. Beer is rehydrating.
Cold club in the morning with your breakfast is exceptional. All right, back to the reading.
Starting at the country kitchen.
Yes, please.
Dinner at the country kitchen. The country kitchen, this huge open-sided restaurant with the thatched roof, personified a number of things he called Ghana traits. The food was always good and sometimes excellent if you ordered Ghanaian chop, which is another word for food. Fufu and light soup, banku and okra stew, bush meat. We'll get to that later. The problem had to do with the service. It might be very fast or very slow. He loved to linger over a beer and people study. The old school Thai boys who came to work out the details of the latest deals, the civil service types who felt the need to be seen in the right place, the politicians who came to play the room, the upper crust parading their well-fed families, the young lovers sharing bowls of fufu and goat meat, the old goats who slipped in and out with their secretaries or their sweet young things. That's every way it goes. The Europeans who used their hardship pay to buy a lobster dinner, the up-and-coming. The waitress returned to his table after 20 minutes to inform him, sorry, sir, the lobster is finished. The lobster is finished? Yes, sir, it is finished. A Ghana trait. It had taken her 20 minutes to return to his table to tell him that there were no more lobsters. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now let me see. Do you have chicken? Yes, please.
Yes, please.
He was feeling a bit tipsy and extremely mellow, in no hurry to do anything. He had given a quick thought to paying a few old friends a visit, but immediately canceled out the idea visiting old friends would lock him into social things. He didn't want that. He wanted to stay focused and take care of the business he came for. He glanced at the couple to his left. How can a woman with gold and diamonds on her fingers fish around in a bowl of stew and still look elegant? But there she was, elegant. Proof.
Yes.
The urge to write was creeping up on him. He could tell from the way his mind was beginning to put stories together about the people in the restaurant. I did the right thing. Maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do, to jump off the PR wagon and onto this thing, but it was the right thing. He was on a PR tour for his latest book when this particular project reared its head and he decided to follow. Follow his instincts. Wonder what old Alan is doing tonight, and the members of the Quartey consortium. That's what we figured out. We ought to be a consortium. We'll be putting our heads and our money together on different projects. We might all well be multimillionaires by the time you get back. More power to you, black folks. That's what we all ought to do, put our heads and money together. Your dinner is served, sir. Thank you. Now, would I usually eat this with my bare hands? Ghana trait showing. Miss, may I have a knife and fork, please? Yes, please. I'm coming.
Nimba.
Nimba. He loved the philosophical conundrum those words framed. Ghana trait. The person at the post office who was taking a long time to determine the proper postage for a passage might say,
Nimba.
I'm coming.
Nimba.
The man in the immigration office who couldn't find the proper stamp for your passport would say,
Nimba.
I'm coming. And the hundreds of other situations that resolved and diffused to
Nimba.
Nimba. He ate his food slowly, enjoying the taste and the atmosphere of the kitchen. He was pleased with the pace of the life around him. People moved, but there was no sense of rush. Yeah, I made the right decision. He sat for a while after eating, considering options. It was too early to go back to the hotel. A movie. The perfect dessert. 6 o'clock, another hour before movie time. Can I get you something else, sir? No, thank you, sweetheart. What's playing at Ghana Films tonight? The waitress, obviously a Ghana Films fan, glowed with pleasure as she answered this question. Oh, a very good film, sir. It is called The Village Girl. I saw it last evening with my boyfriend. It is the story of this girl, Anna, who... thank you. I'll go see what it's about myself. Oh, sorry, sir. No problem. Good evening. Good evening, sir. Her pleasant glow went to a higher wattage as she collected her 15,000 CD tip. At the time this was done, there were 9,000 CDs to the dollar, so she was getting $2.50. Chester strolled down the hill, dodging cars that seemed to ignore his existence. Another Ghana trait. The most polite people in the world. Strangers said, good afternoon.
Yes.
The people accidentally bumping into on the street would mumble profuse apologies, but those same people with an automobile would run over you without any hesitation.
Okay.
He attributed this schizoidness to the English legacy, to the way arrogant Englishmen used to drive through the street, forcing the arrogant Africans out of the way. He came to Irene Street, the main drag in Osu, and started walking aimlessly down the street. Here in Osu. He wasn't Chester L. Simmons, famous writer. He was a tourist.
Yes.
The street was bustling, women with babies on their backs and loads of all kinds on their heads, colors everywhere, people selling everything, anyone wanted to buy. Hey, hey, I have something for you, hey! The main street reminded him of Gwinnett Street in Augusta, Georgia. Excuse me, sir, would you like to buy a Rolex watch? Chester recognized the young man. He was inches taller and pounds heavier, but his skin was still beige and his hair was still light brown and curly. So, Mohammed, how is it? The young immigrant hustler from Morocco stared at him and blinked. Well, I be damned. Son of a beach. It is you, Chester. Yeah, it's me, and you're still out here peddling these phony-ass watches? Mohammed grabbed him and squeezed him affectionately. Oh, my friend Chester, it is so great to see you some more. You are back in Ghana here? For a little while. I thought you were going back to Morocco. Mohammed made a theatrically sad face. Yes, I was going back, but now I have a Ghana wife, 2 babies. That's great, Mohammed. Are you happy? Again, the super sad face. This guy would be a hell of an actor. The wife is good, but the babies eat all the time. All the time they eat. That's why they call them crumb crushers.
Thank you.
Crumb crushers?
Crumb crushers, yes.
Crumb crushers?
Yes, that's what they are.
Crumb crushers, pal. Crumb crushers, because they crush a lot of crumb. Ah, yes, crumb crusher. I understand. Teach me more slang, okay? Some other time, Mohammed, right now I have an appointment. Where are you leaving here? I'm staying with some people. Okay, if you need anything, you know me, where I am, Mohammed. Okie dokie?
Okie dokie.
I'll catch you later. Okay, Chester. Later on, Daddy.
Yeah.
They waved.
Always one. Okay.
Slicks want to be slick no matter where you find. They waved to each other going their separate ways. Young, slick-ass Mohammed. He ought to be rich by now doing all the stuff he does. Chester turned to look at the young Moroccan again. He acts exactly like 1,000 young brothers I've seen in the States. The only difference between them and him is that they're shucking and jiving, and he's serious. They ought to take a trip over here and try some of the bullshit over here that they pull over there. They wouldn't last 24 hours. Yeah, Mohammed, my ace. Mohammed had stopped him on the street one humid afternoon and put a game on him that was so real, so hip, he gave him 10,000 CDs just for having such a vivid imagination. Remember, there was 9,000 CDs to the dollar.
Right.
And from that point on, he had trouble getting rid of him. Chester, my friend, I will take your clothes for the washing. Chester, I know where the exchange for the dollar is more better. Chester, I beg you how to say these words. Chester, I'm asking you to alphabetize in the English.
Right.
Chester, take Mohammed back to an American with you. Chester.
Cool.
6:45 p.m., time for the village girl. An hour and 15 minutes later, he stumbled out of the theater with the rest of the Saturday night moviegoers, alternately shaking his head at the technical lousiness of the film and smiling at the memory of the beautiful story.
There you go.
The Village Girl was the story of 1,000 village girls, maybe 10,000 village girls, who had left their villages to seek their fortunes in the big city. Amma, the village girl in the film, had managed to find her way back to her village despite running a gauntlet of vicious-minded men, piss-poor lighting, a horrible soundtrack, lousy makeup, wayward direction, bad dialogue, and a leading man who didn't know zip about acting.
Oh, yeah.
Amma, the girl woman who played the lead, was so full of beauty and tenderness that she overcame all of the technical deficiencies. When she went to the beach to cleanse herself after a date rape, she made it a ritual that anyone could relate to. After she had the money she had been saving for months stolen by her best friend, the anguish on her face and her justice was enough to make the most cynical feel her pain. Beautiful actress. You can't teach or learn some things in school, only in life.
Woo! It did.
So he goes through what he goes through in Accra, and to speed us up a little bit in the recitation of the story, the narration of the story, he winds up being asked to perform some rituals in order to have the curse removed from members of the Quartey family.
Yes.
And how he does it and what happens, I won't reveal at this time. I'm coming. So this is where we are. It's called
Shackles Across Time.
Shackles of Time.
Yes.
Across Time. I'm from Shackles Across.
Okay. So the saying goes, the shackles have been taken off of our bodies, put on our minds, but the shackles, unfortunately, are still in our motherland, Africa. Not that we don't appreciate the qualities of life in America, but so many others have roots that they know about, and we don't know our original language or our original people.
Yeah, you got that.
And so we mustn't shackle ourselves with that, but be a vibrant people.
That's the point. That's the point. That's the point. You know, we're always talking about heritage and legacy and so forth and so on. But so many of us know so little about where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
I know this may sound redundant to some people, but it's really the truth. We have no idea of anything of what our African heritage. I hate all the time when you hear people talking about, okay, my history starts off when slavery happened.
Before then, I've always been interested in the fact that when I've been around a group of Ethiopians,
Yeah.
people have mistaken me for Ethiopia.
You could be.
Right,
could
you know, but then of course when I was in Ghana, to me I looked very much like Ghanaian folks.
Yeah.
And so it's just, you know, interesting possibility.
The dynamics, you know.
Definitely.
For those of you who have never been to West Africa, I would tell you at the drop of a hat, if you could ever afford it, take a trip to Ghana.
Oh, before I forget, Leonard Kennedy.
Leonard Kennedy.
Yes, Leonard Kennedy, he texts that his favorite meal is rice and bantu.
Bantu.
What's bantu?
You said Bentu or Bantu?
Bantu? Which one?
If you got the word.
Which one? Is there a difference?
I think you took.
You mentioned it here.
Yeah.
At the country kitchen. You mentioned it.
I can't. How do you spell? Well, you don't know how he spells it. He could be talking about rice and gravy.
Banku.
Oh, rice and bangu. What is it?
If you're away from it, it's hard to remember.
Yeah.
Well, those who know
By the time we get back to you next week,
will know. And also, if you know, put a comment in our video, in the video, and let us know. Leonard, maybe you can, put a comment and tell us again what's your favorite food. I do know that South Africans who stayed with me didn't want regular rice.
Yeah.
They wanted Uncle Ben's rice. Go figure. And with that, his website is www.odiehawkins.com. And that's O-D, not Odie. Okay. As some people call and leave messages to speak to Odie.
Odie.
But no, it's Odie Hawkins.
We'll be back with you next Monday with.
I'll post this tonight, and you'll be able to pick it up on YouTube at any time, Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
See you next Monday.
Yes. Bye now.